So you have this different actors, right? And now let us see a flow, right? How blocks get added in Polkadot, right? When you see Bitcoin or Ethereum, the way the blocks get added is straightforward because it's all proof of work, right? But Polkadot is not proof of work, it is proof of stake. So what I mean by that? So you don't need, as a miner or as a validator, as someone who's running a node in Polkadot, you don't need to really mine anything. You don't need to run. You don't need to have this this power hungry graphic card rigs, mining rigs, and all that. You don't need that. You could even have a very simple mission. Even Raspberry Pi could do, right? Because you are not doing any work to claim the right to add a block. Instead, you're going to do that with proof of stake, meaning you should have stakes, right? And in the form of the dots, which is the official token of Polkadot network, blockchain network. You have them, and you stake your money, and then you work together in adding a block. We'll see how that happens, right? But for now, let us take this relay chain, which is on the top, and we'll take only one example. We'll take one parachain here. Obviously, there'll be more than one parachain, but for this explanation, we'll think of one parachain. And you have collators here, right? There is no rule that there should be more than one collators, or even one collator will do. Why? Because the responsibility of collators is very limited in this blockchain system, right? They don't do any guarantees. They don't give you any validation or safety or security of the blockchain. That is the responsibility of validators. But these collators, only responsibility is to collate the data. And mind you, most of the time when you run a node, the node could act as a validator, fisherman, sometimes even as collators, right? So the collators, what their responsibility is to assemble a block, assemble a next possible block, right? So they take all the data that is there that came as a request to be added to blockchain. They put all that together, and they create this block, right? Once they create this block, now the interaction between the validators and collators starts, right? The block state is stored as Merkle tree here. There is no Patricia Merkle trees like Ethereum. It's a straightforward Merkle tree. And then, as I said, the collators don't provide security guarantees. Security and validity are concerns of validators. And each parachain will have a set of validators. So this is interesting. So assume that there are 100 parachains. The rule is there should be more than the parachains available by a ratio of validators. The validators should be more. That means for every duration, say 6 seconds, a group of validators are assigned to one parachain. And from there, they are expected to work closely with the collators of that parachain. So this is how it happens, right? There will be interaction between a collator and a validator saying that, hey, collator, let us talk. Do you have a block ready, right? So once the block is ready, what one validator, a validator who picked it, who get the messages, will validate the block. He will verify. He will do his checks. Say, for example, does this have the past nodes hash as a parent, or the transactions not duplicated? Are they valid? Right? Are they, are they as per the state definition? Right? Are they getting to valid state? The rules are still not with the validators. It just runs the rules and then it makes sure that the state transition is valid one. And once they do that, he will call or he will message other validators who are assigned to this parachain and say, hey guys, verify this block because I got a request to add this block in this parachain, and I have checked and it sounds fine or it looks fine. Now you others go and verify. This is only the main reason for this is, right, to avoid rogue validators. Meaning, say for example, if there is only one validator, that validator could game. He could add invalid data into the blocks, right? But the moment there are more validators and only if 2/3 of the validators are going to say this block is valid, then it can get added to a blockchain, right? And also, as I said, these validator set is not fixed. Every 6 seconds, the validator set will change. So the probability of bad actors, validators ganging together to bring down or to do malicious stuff in a blockchain is actually very, very less because of this protocol in place. So assume that we'll know all the validators validated, and then they say, hey, yeah, this is good. Now the next step that the validator do is they'll create a candidate receipt and an erasure coding. I'll explain what they are. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. But yeah, I mean, I'll say if you get the idea of how this orchestrations happen at this high level, then it is quite easy for you to get into the details, look at the code, read more documentation, and see how actually the Polkadot validation from this whole network comes together, right? So at a simple terms, right, a candidate receipt is this. It's a proof of validity that these validators, these group of validators, yes, they have indeed validated this block contents, and then they're giving a candidate receipt saying that this block is a candidate, it's a good or a valid candidate to be added to this blockchain, right? And they just don't stop there. After creating the candidate receipt, they'll do one other thing. That is, they will create something called, or they will do something called erasure coding. So what that is, they basically take this block that is going to get added, the grade one, they break that into pieces, and they share the pieces. Basically, before sharing the pieces, they create another Merkle tree for the pieces, and then they share this among all the validators, not just the validators that are assigned to this parachain, but to all the validators in the network, right? But why do they do this? They do this for only one reason. Say, for example, these collators, okay? Collators created this block, and then they said, hey, add this, and this, all this interactions is happening. What if these collators go down, meaning they're not responding, right? This actually could bring down this whole blockchain. Why? Because no other collator or no one can add this block because this block information is gone. It's still with them, right? They're trying to avoid this one point fault or failure by breaking this block and sharing it with multiple validators so that the validator will have a piece of different blocks in case of this happens, and it can always be pulled together and created this block. This block can be recreated so that even if the rogue collator is trying to stop this whole blockchain from growing, it can be mitigated. So that is erasure coding. So now the erasure coding is created and candidate receipt is created, and what happens is they are all added. So this is what I was explaining, right? Sharing the new block chunks with validators. So all the chunks, the block is made to different chunks, and every validator will take a piece, will get a piece. And all this communication, right, between these validators, all these different nodes will happen with the protocol that the Polkadot has created. It's called cross-chain message passing, XCMP, right? And that is how they actually do all this gossip communication among themselves. And once this is done, we have not spoken so far about one other actor in this whole scenario, right? The fisherman. So what is the role of the fisherman, right? The fisherman is actually supposed to do like a detective work, right? Think of him as like a police. What he does is he'll be at another node, but he'll be doing the role of a fisherman at quite frequent intervals. He'll be assigned a fisherman role. So the work of a fisherman is to fish for bad actors, right? They can go to any part of the parachain, anywhere, and they can actually check the block contents. They can go and look at the validators, block that or the certificate, the candidate receipts that they created, and things like that. And once when they detect any anomaly, they will raise this and they'll get paid for that, right? So this is one other check or mechanism that is created inside this Polkadot network to make sure that the rogue actors will not be able to game the system or do any illicit things or unexpected things to bring down the blockchain. So these are the roles of fisherman. And say, for example, fisherman is checking everywhere, and then he's all good, right? Think of him like a bounty hunter, right? So he looks for, and once he finds someone bad, then he'll just report it, and then he'll get paid. Very simple, like Django Unchained, huh? So then what happens is this, right? So bounty hunter, sorry, not the bounty hunter, but yeah, the fisherman will continue to do his job, right? And validators now created this candidate receipt, right? All these candidate receipts are accumulated or collected. Think of this. There are so many blockchains. There are so many blocks which are trying to get added. Every block will create a candidate receipt, and all these are kept in a place, in a queue, right? And then these are taken, and all the contents of the candidate receipt is what get into the relay chain, right? So one of the validators will be assigned to do this job, right? His job at that duration will be to take all the candidate receipts, make sure that they are valid again, and say for example, if they are not able to find a block from any of these parachains, then try to ask other validators, get the pieces, get the block, build the block, and add all those contents, just to make sure, build the block, make sure that this candidate receipt is good, and then put all the contents of candidate receipt as a block and add it to the relay chain, right here. But adding to the relay chain is also not very straightforward, because as per the Polkadot design, there are different zones, right? The moment a block for the relay chain is created, it is not finalized. There is a time between which it takes for this block to get finalized from the time it has been created. And they have different zones. They have divided this time duration to 3 different zones, right? So the fishing zone is the time where the fisherman will do the due diligence. They'll do even more validations. They'll go around. They'll see the blocks that are going to get added to the relay chain. They'll make sure that, yeah, things are indeed good, right? And also this, the next zone is the grandpa voting zone, where we are talking about this grandpa only now, right? We did not even talk about Babe so far. But to explain what Babe does is, right, Babe is the one who is like an orchestrator, right? He is the one who decides what validators or what roles they have to play, where they have to be assigned, how they're going to orchestrate this whole process that I have explained till now, right? The grandpa role is very specific. What he does is he's the one who signs off, who finalizes the blocks, right? Once the blocks are sequenced or queued for finalization. So the grandpa voting zone happens, and then the chain gets finalized, right? Why there is so much importance given at this finalization phase is because of the hard fork problems, right? People who are following Ethereum know very well that, right? There's like three hard forks happen in Ethereum, and hard forks is kind of a very painful problem, because this whole blockchain diverges into 2 different blockchains, and both gets built, and the whole community gets split, right? Like Ethereum Classic and Ethereum. The first hard fork ended up in creating 2 different communities. The same way, every hard fork will create a group of people who will want to continue with the old blockchain or the blockchain that they have invested in, things like that. So Polkadot is trying to come up with, did this design to avoid that hard fork, meaning they are giving enough time so that all the checks are going to happen, and then the block gets finalized, right? So this is still going to be a problem with respect to bridges, right? Think of this. So after finalizing, say there is this hard fork that happened in Ethereum, and there is a bridge for Ethereum which is connected to Polkadot, right? And this happens a bit late, then Polkadot might have finalized its blocks. Now, if it really wants to be consistent, it has to hard fork, it has to roll back, right? That is something that even, I think the discussion is happening, and the bridges are not there out yet. But this is some of the problems that will happen if you wanted to have that true interconnectedness among disparate blockchains. But this will not be a problem if the blockchain is built on Polkadot network.